Good afternoon and hello, folks. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for another Flycast Partners presentation. Today's presentation is on surviving a security audit, a topic that is all too familiar with many of you out there today with everything going on. It's being presented by Flycast Partners' very own Bobby McCullough. Now, Bobby has just a little bit of experience over 2 decades selling, implementing, and supporting a variety of solutions, including IT service, operations, financial, utilization management, asset management, infrastructure management, change management, incident management, expense management, and integration in IT operations analytics. He has configured demonstration systems using JSON file ingestion through application API and Python. Bobby has added value in multi-product engagements, providing overall solution views and clarity. His extensive experience in lean methodologies and proven record of designing and implementing more efficient and cost-effective procedures and technologies is invaluable. Before we get started, Bobby, let me introduce our organization. Flycast Partners offers best-in-class implementation services and training in IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, enterprise service management, and workload automation spaces, all using ITIL best practice. Our professional service team has completed well over 5,500 professional service engagements, both on-site and remote. As an organization, Flycast Partners has over 1,100 regular customers throughout all of Canada and the United States. I encourage you to reach out to us directly at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. You can also visit our website. As you can see up there in the little green box to the right is a chat box. They're standing by to chat with you, answer all your questions, and get you the material you need Monday through Friday during normal business hours. And if that's a little too much for you, you can always email us at info@flycastpartners.com. Folks, during today's presentation, we will be taking questions, and as long as there's time enough, Bobby will answer as many as he can. So please type your questions in the question section of this GoToWebinar presentation. Without further delay, I'm going to turn this over to Bobby.
Welcome, everybody. So today we're going to talk about surviving a security audit. Some of you may not have been through a security audit, so we want to talk just at a high level about what you can expect. And then we'll finish up with some tools that you can use to help make surviving that a little bit easier. Like Rich said, make sure you send questions over in the conference tool. If I don't know the answer, we'll get back to you and make sure that we can get you an answer. So security is always in the news. You can almost go out at any time, do a Google search on the word security or breach, and then click on the little option for news, and you're going to get articles like this: phishing scams, patch update problems, cyber attacks on cities, and it's continuing, and there's nothing out there other than the things that you can do that's going to stop this. It's just going to continue on. All you can do is defend your organization. Why does a security risk assessment matter? What does it even matter to be audited? Well, one thing is that allows you to justify financial expenditures to help protect your organization. You know, if you're in a highly regulated industry, or you've got, because of the nature of your organization, you've got security risks around your environment. To buy the tools that you're going to need to plug those security holes, it's going to cost money, and you're going to need to justify that. And having an audit providing that security risk assessment a lot of times can provide you the ammunition that you need to justify those expenditures. The risk assessment is going to help you streamline IT department productivity. It helps you break down silos and barriers between management and staff, and then within internal business units as well, and that's really key. It gets everybody involved in the security effort of your organization, and lets everybody understand their part in the security of your organization. And by breaking down those barriers, you really are able to streamline your productivity. Another thing that audit will do is provide you a baseline that now you can do self-reviews. So, maybe you have an outside auditor come in periodically, or at least the first time, and provide that baseline of where you are. And then you can work toward improving that baseline and compare against it prior to your next. And finally, it encourages open reporting across the organization. So the results of that security risk of that audit are something that are going to need to be shared within the organization, and that really promotes that open reporting. So what is a security audit? A security audit's generally conducted by a security auditor who is either a part of your organization or external to your organization. A lot of times for that baseline, you're going to bring in an external security audit from someone outside. And what are they going to do? So that auditor is going to conduct employee interviews. They're going to examine access controls to your environment. They're going to examine the physical access to the hardware that's in your environment. They're going to provide vulnerability scans. They're going to perform those scans, and a lot of times provide those back to you in what's called a CVE, common vulnerability and exploits. And finally, that audit generally is going to happen annually. So if you're new to your organization, you can expect probably within 12 months you're going to be involved in some type of activity, either on the receiving end of this or helping perform one. So the auditor, we already talked about reviewing what you do. They're going to look at your operations, how you conduct business, your processes around your environment, and as well as look at your financial reporting. Where are you with compliance on laws and regulations within your industry? And so they're going to take a look at all those things. And now, while those things may seem separate, those really intersect. They intersect here with employee interviews. They're going to find out from interviewing you guys your knowledge of the access protocols and processes. It's not just enough to know that we have documented processes and protocols. We want to make sure that those are that those processes and protocols are distributed, that everyone has knowledge of them, knowledge of the monitoring of those protocols and processes, and then finally that the organization is adhering to them. It's not just enough to maybe have them and publish them. You want to make sure that the organization is actually implementing those protocols and processes. Through these employee interviews, find out if there have been any risks identified. They're the first line of defense with any organization, that each of the employees. So what risks have they identified? And then when they identified those risks, was remediation performed? If you're finding problems, are you remediating those, and how is that working out? They're going to examine the physical access to your hardware. And so this is not something that can be done remotely. They're going to be on site where those servers and where your hardware resides. They're going to need to examine those server rooms. Depending on the type of organization, the type of industry that you might be in, they also may need to look at how people can get into the office and just access a desktop. So they're going to look at doorways, windows, any way that people can get in to access to the hardware that's on your environment. Access controls. So how are the employees of your organization accessing that environment? What are their administrative privileges? What are their remote access privileges? Who has the ability to remotely connect in? Maybe who can connect in from off-site? Who has privileges to perform installations? Who are you going to allow to install software or programs on your machine? And finally, what type of monitoring do you perform for access? And so this is where, your organization has a key code, a card maybe, to open a door for you to either get to a particular area of your organization or maybe just to come into the front door. You might have that access monitored. All of those access controls are going to be evaluated and investigated by the auditor. So the way that Flycast can help in these areas, we've got several tools that respond to these challenges, and we're going to talk about them in general. I'm going to demonstrate one for you here specifically before we're done, but we're really just going to talk about these in general. So privilege management, that's key for managing access to applications and installation. We've got solutions that allow you to do that, allows you to specify the applications that a user can run, which applications can be run with admin privileges, which should we restrict rights on. And we've got an approach to that where, a lot of times organizations can be concerned about turning on a solution like this, that, we're going to start locking everything down. That's not how that happens. We actually go in with an audit approach initially to see what people are using, and then we begin to lock down from that. And we'll show you more of that when we get over into the tool. Self-elevation, so that's key. Those things that you want to allow a user to elevate themselves when they run, you're able to define those and apply those through a policy, so that any type of file type, a user can elevate their own privileges on that executable, and very, very varied on how that can be assigned, specific programs, file extensions, and so on. So very dynamic and expansive. And vulnerability scans. This vulnerability scans really it's the first part of it is asset discovery. What's on your environment. We have to know what's on the environment to understand what might be missing from those things that are on the environment. It has to cover both physical and virtual. Today's organizations, you've got on-premise and cloud, and then within your on-premise, you've got some of that physical and some of that virtual. You're going to need to be able to perform vulnerability scans on all of that. Finally, OS and third-party applications. A lot of people look at this as maybe we use a Microsoft tool to handle our operating system scans. Maybe you just set the machines to automatically update, which is not a good choice either. But really, third-party patching is really a bigger an issue than the operating system patching. So any type of patching solution that you've got to try to address this, prepare for audits and manage through the CVEs that result from the audits, you're going to need to tackle both operating systems and third-party patching. And patching, our patching solutions are, again, going to give you that asset inventory, so you know what hardware, software, BIOS, all the attributes that you expect from your environment. You're going to be able to perform Microsoft, Linux, third-party patching. You're going to be able to do it agentlessly or with an agent. Some organizations don't like to have agents installed on your machines. We don't have to have that. We've got multiple solutions, and we've got some that don't even require an agent to do this. We're going to be able to address physical, virtual, and workstations. So whatever's in your environment, we're going to be able to get to it. VMware, virtual environments, be able to get to your Red Hat Linux. And then we mentioned about the security audits. A lot of times the results of those audits may be a CVE, common vulnerabilities and exploits. We have the ability to import those in as well. and help you manage against those CVEs. And then finally, automation. Our solutions allow you the ability to schedule how you're going to patch, when you're going to scan for missing patches, when you're going to load the patches. So you're not, it's not a click and go. I can click and go, but I can also schedule it for off hours if I wish to. You're able to fully automate your patch management from an initial scan to deployment. Now, a lot of organizations don't do that, but it's available in the tool. And maybe you automate scans and deployment through your test environments, and then your production environment deployment is a manual process that you kick off. We're able to handle all of that, automate as much as that as you want, and leave the remainder for manual processing. We've got a documented API for integration. So if we need to bring pull this data into other systems, this discovery data, we've got an API to do that. We need to push information into this system, CVE information, and so on. We're able to do that as well. Finally, full reporting with customizable options. That's key to be able to get the information out that you want. It's not just enough to process the data. You've got to be able to present that information back to your executive team, C-suite, or auditor. And so the solutions all have full reporting capabilities with customizable options, so you can get the reports out that you need and provide that information in a timely fashion. So third-party updates, they're really critical. Each machine obviously has one operating system on it, and obviously that's important, but it's going to have multiple third-party applications on there, and those can be a real bear to try to manage. Things like Adobe, they're always wanting to install their little add-ons and so on, but you've got the ability to control that through the tool. And so really manage all those third-party applications that you might not be managing today, and keep those up to date, and stay in compliance with those as well. So let's take a second now and jump over to our demonstration. So as I said, we've got multiple patching solutions. This is just one. This is a patching and application control solution called Security Controls from Avanti. And starting out with application control here, we can edit our AC configurations. And here's a policy I've got for workstations. So as I mentioned earlier, we really make it easy for you to sort of roll out the quote unquote locking down of your environment. And so we provide out of the box these rule sets. And so built-in administrators here, really, they've got unrestricted rights. They can do anything. We're not denying anything here. We can, if we need to deny a file, folder drive, file hash, or a rule collection. We're able to do that, but out of the box, administrators come unrestricted. And everyone else out of the box are going to come with an audit only option. And so that allows us to then gather that information of the executables and things that people are doing on their machines with regards to applications, so that we can determine what we need to allow and what we need to deny. If we move on down the security level here, the next step is self-authorizing, and that's that self-elevation where I'm not an administrator, but when I run this program, whatever that program is that's defined, I'm allowed to self-authorize to run it as an administrator. and so that's in this example here, this out of the box, it's really administrators and everyone else. But these are sort of the defaults. We're able to create those for other individuals, other groups within our environment. And so that way you're really able to set this application control, have it integrated with your Active Directory so you know what groups, excuse me, should have access to what. And really it takes care of itself. Once you've defined those permissions, and like here, Jill, we allow her to run Notepad. But if Jill goes out to her machine and maybe copies Notepad to the desktop, she's not going to be able to run that copy. She's only going to be able to run the Notepad here. So in that way, we're able to deny people installing programs and running things that you don't approve of. They're only going to be able to perform those actions and do those activities that you've decided to allow. Rich, do we have any questions yet? It's a good time to stop here on.
Not so far. I've been watching. So, folks, if you have questions, please, by all means, type them in the questions section, and Bobby would be happy to answer them for you.
So let's take a look now at patch management. There's really, it's probably a little more involved than our application control. Now, I did skip over something. Let me go back real quick. I apologize, everyone. So in addition to the executables, we've also got the ability to define privilege management for Windows components. So here we're able to allow or disallow any of these type of Windows components as well as browser control as well. So you're able to limit what browsers, where people can go, what websites they can access through this application control. Now, within patch management, so the first thing we've got here are our machines. What machines are in our environment, and Avanti does a really good, in this case we're looking at Avanti, and it does a really good job of bringing to your attention what needs your attention. So you've got a color coding here for what's missing, for which machines are most at risk with their patching. I can select any of these machines and see the patches that are missing, see what's installed and so on here on the machine. Now from this, I'm able to look at my history. Go back a little bit, and I didn't go back far enough. Well, I apologize. Oh, I've got the wrong machine. I apologize, guys. There we go. So here we're able to see our deployment history from that machine. So you understand what's happened in the past. If we had Linux, we'd be able to understand that as well. What are our Windows software assets on all of these machines? So here I see a bulk view of all of those software assets, all of my hardware assets as well. Now, so you're able to define different machine groups to help you manage patching for these. So you're able to define your groups. It can maybe come in from your domain and how it's organized that way. But really, you're able to define these groups however you need to help you manage. And then from here, we're able to examine our policies. So here's a workstation policy. And so you can see here that you're able to determine what are we going to do with the patching for this machine. Are we going to patch? Are we just going to scan? Are we going to reboot? Is it Windows? Is it Linux? Are we going to allow here's our agent reboot options. We've got obviously options for a server and a workstation because you may handle those reboot options differently. And so reboot when needed, and then you've got all kinds of options here on to allow you to take control of those reboots. Obviously here from the agent, We're able to define an application control policy if we want to apply that. If we need an asset task, if we're going to be if we're setting up the policy, applying managing the applications and patches, then we've also got the ability to add asset tasks for scans and specific type of scans that we might have defined, and scan or patch directly there from that policy. You've also got the ability to add power state tasks, and so this is where you're able to define those power state templates: rebooting, power off, power on, it's going to sleep. Define all of those and assign those right there from that policy. Let's look at our patch templates. Here's our server patch templates. Now, this is where we begin to see the options that are available with any type of patching. So the system gives you the ability here to narrow down the type of patches that you might want to bring in through these selection boxes. Notice all the different types of tools here. Here, if you go down to Google and expand it, Chrome, Google Drive, desktop, so on. So we utilize the Shavlik patching engine, and it has one of the largest third-party catalogs in the industry, and always adding new products as needed. And so you're able to really narrow in here through these selections on what actually you're going to be patching with any of these particular patch groups. Able to click on these to get additional information here. I click on this patch and I can see all the CVEs that are a part of it and what machines are affected. So go up and grab several of these patches. So I don't have any for these machines right here. There we go. Here's one for that machine. Those in red are waiting to be installed. So we talked about Linux, how we could do that with Linux as well. We don't have Linux in our demonstration environment, so I can't show you that. But it works just the same as you saw here for Windows. We talked about the scan template, and this is where we tell the system what are you going to scan for, who are you going to notify with the report about this scan, and this is how you understand what's on your environment. Who needs to be notified about these devices on your environment. Your power templates. This is where, again, you can set those power options and determine how the machine goes to sleep or shuts down, reboots, and so on. So most of everything we've talked about is sort of out of the box type of functionality. We've also got the ability to define your own scripts, and the scripts. So through the tool, Ivanti in this case, Ivanti provides a whole list of out-of-the-box scripts that you're able to apply to these templates and either get additional information, disable services, or perform some type of action on that server. These are all available, and you're able to go through and decide which you're going to approve for use within your organization, sort of at an administrative level, and then those become available to be applied in these templates here within the tool. We've also got the ability to access virtual environments. So if you've got vCenter hypervisors, you'll be able to get to those as well right here from the tool. Deployment tracker. While you're processing, you're going to be able to access. You're going to be able to see the monitor the process. So as much as you want to be involved, it can be configure it and leave it, configure it and watch it. However you need to manage patch and application control, you've got the ability here through that operations monitor. Rich, looking again, do we have any questions yet? I haven't seen anything pop up.
No questions, folks. Now's the time to ask. You have Bobby's undivided attention. Now's the time to ask some questions.
This is where I was wanting to go. So, out of the box reporting. Again, Avanti does a great job bringing to your attention what needs your attention. What are your most vulnerable machines? What's your agent versus agentless ratio? What's missing by severity, and so on. Again, Avanti is bringing to your attention what needs your attention. We've got multiple solutions that provide this patching and/or application control. It's just a matter of the details around your needs. Are there other needs than just patching? What type of environments are you looking to patch? What type of applications are you looking to control? But otherwise, they all do the same thing. They all manage, help you control your security environment and better prepare you for an audit. We'll take a couple of minutes here, give you guys a chance to send us any questions. I think one that we usually get is how do we do a disconnected environment? So before that question comes up, I'll go ahead and answer. We've got the ability to handle both an air-gapped network and sort of remote remote workers that are not necessarily always at the office or ever on the network at the office. So those remote machines are going to need an agent, and when they connect to your environment, they'll get the agent, get the policy, and then periodically that agent will check in for any updates and keep the machine up to date. Now, for air-gapped networks, we've got the ability to push patches over from the main console. Basically, you've got a sort of a satellite install of the program over on the air-gapped side to either provide patches for itself or for other machines in the air-gapped environment. There is a question about supporting Unix and AIX, and I don't believe we have anything for Unix right now.
Thank you for the question, Carl. It's very much appreciated. Anyone else have a question out there? Well, if not, I'm going to thank you, Bobby, for another great presentation. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to help us out with security audits.
No problem. Thanks, everybody, for attending.
Folks, I want to thank you. I want to reiterate what Bobby just said, or echo what he just said. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join us for another Flycast Partners presentation. I'd like for you all to stay safe out there, and we have a ton of other events coming up. I encourage you to go to our website and check them out. And if you would like a copy of this presentation, go ahead and email us and let us know, and we'll get one over to you. With that being said, stay safe, and until next time around, folks, we'll see you then.